What's up, everybody? Daniel Allison, the average dude, and Jenny Winny with a microphone.
I got it to work.
Oh yeah, well that's why you get paid the big bucks, Jenny.
Oh, I know. I know.
You're going places with all these talents, so you've got the timing down. I actually do like the beginning, that audio, that play.
Yeah.
I was listening to a replay of the show and just heard that music playing, and it kind of put me in a good headspace. So
I know. It kind of makes you think Jenny, Winny, and the average dude.
Well, like we've talked about, Jenny, this has been a personal growth journey for the both of us. It's something that, every time when we go live, we still get that adrenaline rush. We still get that excitement, that energy. And I think that's just such a good thing. And I see our guests backstage. That's always a good feeling. Now, we got somebody to talk to,
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. That's always good.
But here's what I want to ask you. You ready?
Okay, ask it. Yeah, shoot it.
I want to know what has been the biggest surprise on this growth journey as you've been doing this little podcast with me. Has anything surprised you? And I know you like to over intellectualize things. So just what has been
honestly, what happened? Oh, I think just the getting more comfortable with it. I didn't think I'd ever get to a place to where I didn't constantly think, oh gosh, look, you remember like way back when I came off and I was like, prop plane, why did I say prop?
Yes. Yeah.
Now I just don't care.
Well, so let's rewind that for folks that maybe this is the first time they're tuning in. What's happening here? Jenny, Winny, and I were cousins. And we decided to do this podcast. It was back in February that we started it.
I know.
A show about nothing and a show about everything.
Yep. Right? And so we've done it every week except one.
Every week except for one. And we've had a lot of fun. We've met people. We've gone out on site.
Yep.
We've interviewed business owners. We've interviewed great guests virtually. What's your favorite? Do you like to do it in person or virtually, Jenny?
I think that I would really like in person once we did it a little more, and had all of our equipment, and everything. We're growing. We're growing.
That's right. That's right. We're growing, and that's what the theme of today's show is. The journey of personal development, right? Mm-hmm. So that's going to tie in with our surprise guest that I'm so excited to talk to. Look at here, Joe's here. Just curious why the switch to Jenny Winny and the average dude versus Biden.
So, why is it not the average dude and Jenny Winny?
Great question, Joe. Why is that, Jenny?
And Jonathan said that's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't. It flows.
Yeah.
It flows.
Yeah. Jenny Winny and the average dude. And see, and then I get, if we have a logo, it's the average dude, and then Jenny Winny in cursive. It's so that kind of stands out more. But it's a teamwork,
Yeah.
What's been great about it is, of course, Jenny Winny and I, we grew up next door to each other.
Next door.
Out in the backyard.
The Allison Braves.
Allison Braves.
We even did spring training.
But wouldn't you agree that we did have spring training? That was awesome.
That's what I'm saying.
Wouldn't you say that it's different to work with someone and doing something like this? Don't you feel like, I was telling somebody this morning at the fitness group I go to.
Yeah.
I feel like I know you better.
Oh yeah. I think that it's like almost like we interview people, but it's almost like we've interviewed each other too, Absolutely. And you're like, well, Jenny, you do blah, blah, blah. And then I'll say, well, Daniel, sounds to me like you're like blah, blah, blah. And it's like, I feel like we've picked up on each other, even though we grew up fighting and everything.
Yeah, I know. So we did get a question about spring training. Tell me more. So it was, we had 4 players. It's hard to play baseball with 4 people.
It is. But now, Jonathan, this is just too funny. Now, you can see where me and Daniel were on the rank of the Allison Braves. Because my older brother he got to choose. We had to be baseball players. He was Dale Murphy.
Yeah, if you're that age, if you're old enough to remember Atlanta Braves baseball back in the days of TBS, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dale
Dale
Murphy
Murphy was right on that fringe of being a Hall
Oh
of Famer.
yeah.
He was
And then
the star.
your older brother, he got to pick number 2. Remember, and that was
Bob Horner.
Bob Horner.
Yeah.
And then me, I was Glenn Hubbard.
Glenn Hubbard.
True Grit.
You and Glenn just don't have a whole lot in common, but that was a lot of fun. So we called ourselves the Allison Braves. We were big Braves baseball fans. Jenny was the only girl. She hung out there with the guys. We played baseball all day in the summer. And I know that Jonathan would remember Dale Murphy. But what's the difference between kissing cousins and hugging cousins? Certainly feel the love between you two, and very enlightening at all. It's more like brother sister. Like I say, I definitely consider Jenny and her brother Roger. We all like siblings. So
Phil Negro, Jonathan.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. Knuckleball. I was always the pitcher too. I tried to be a little Phil Negro.
Yeah.
That is funny. Until, placing them bets and stuff.
But we got creative, and we came up with a game that worked out in the backyard, and we played we called it the out game, which was just a way to play with 4 people. You had imaginary base runners, and we got competitive.
We did, and we would, you can hit a little rag ball over the fence, and
rag ball.
And you know what? It's like, hey. If we hit it over the fence into my yard from Daniel's yard, that was a home run.
That was a home run. And we played with the rag ball. I can't believe we've taken up 10 minutes talking about baseball.
Well, come on. It's just a great thing. I mean, that's memorabilia. And I have pictures, and we will bring them next time. What
I will say, I hit my first home run with a tennis ball. Man, you want to talk about, you hit a tennis ball with a baseball bat, you're gonna put some you clear the fence. I had no excuse, but glad for everybody joining us. Thanks for all the comments already.
Yeah.
We've got a great guest we're going to be introducing here very soon. But Jenny, Winny, I want to hear about your week briefly. Anything exciting happening?
Well, I gotta say something sweet about my daughter, Maggie.
Yeah, please.
She sent me a picture of this chair that she's like, I think, I like things that are weird and different. It was bright yellow. And I was like, oh, that is so cool. And she's like, oh, you like it? Last night, she texted me. She's like, Mom, can you come out on the back porch? She had bought it for me.
Oh, wow.
I know. And I mean, that's just like,
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, that was like, she's got a big heart, doesn't she?
Oh, she gets that from her mama.
Yeah. She wanted to make you happy. She saw that you liked the chair and she purchased it for you.
Yeah.
It is fun surprising people, isn't it?
I'd rather surprise you.
Your birthday, but if you get a gift, you're not expecting it. That's always cool.
Oh yeah, because it's not an obligatory gift. I had to get it for you.
That's right. Yeah. So, what else? Anything else?
What's going on with your week? Toastmasters.
Had a Toastmasters speech. I wasn't supposed to speak on Monday. I got a text that morning and they asked me if I would speak. And what was funny, there's that little bit of like hesitation, like, oh, I've got to think is what to say, right? Because it doesn't matter if it's 3 people or 30 people or whatever. Anytime you're standing up in front of folks, there is a little bit of pressure.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And so I knew that there'd be some responsibility to that. But I just said yes, because I've told myself any opportunity, I'm just going to say yes and we'll figure it out later. So I said yes. And what's amazing is what I wanted to speak about just started coming to me. So I was, and so it's like you commit. And then what I did, Jenny, I just regurgitated some of the things that have been happening recently.
Yeah.
And as we've talked about before, the more action you take, the more you have to talk about for the next thing. And so I ended up just giving a speech talking about some of the things that we just did, the communication boot camp.
Yeah.
And some of the stories. Of course, Michael Cogdell coming to the boot camp.
Oh, yeah.
He gave me so many great ideas. And I think that speaks to proximity to people that are, that are really they're experts.
He's a storyteller.
He's an unbelievable storyteller. And when you're around someone like that, you really start to look and notice things, but it helps you improve just by being around them, don't you think?
I agree completely. I just listening to him, we were all in such awe, and then it was like, he's such a great storyteller. He is just so great.
And so Jonathan did ask the question. I'm going to tell you what I spoke about, and then we're going to roll it into our guest here. So I talked about leadership. I said since it's, month of October, sometimes people think about pumpkins and being scared, right? And so I talked about leadership is scary. That was the title, because it is. Getting out of your comfort zone. I've never been a leader. I've always been the sales guy and never really saw myself as a leader. Mm-hmm. But what has happened now that as I progress, I look and say, you know what? Everybody's a leader. The only question is, what kind of leader will you be? Yeah. And I was an ineffective leader,
Yeah.
And so I talked about some of the growth that comes through leadership challenges, but I compared it. I told the camping story of when we went camping and David chased the bad guy. I've told the story here, so I won't bore everybody. But that story, I told that. And then I told the story about, me and you going through the haunted house just in Myrtle Beach.
Well, that was scary.
It was scary, but somebody had to lead the way. And that's what.
And it might as well have been you.
And what I told him, Jenny, I said, you know what? The way we made it through that, even though I'm kind of scared of things like that, is just by doing that little chant. And so whatever works, there's no professional way of doing it. And so we get through it and we make progress. And this is going to be a great segue.
Yes, it is.
Guest, because I know that she's been on a journey herself, a personal development journey. I'm very interested in learning about that. And the other thing, I've known this person through LinkedIn. I've never spoken with her, but now we get to do that.
Now we get to know her.
Technology's so cool. And here we go. Mimi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Good morning. How are you guys?
Doing great. Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure. Such a cool, kind of a random morning discussion that got on my agenda, but I'm really fired up for it. So let's
go. Good.
I like it. Yeah.
So the last name is Boyer. Is that correct?
Yes.
Or is it Boyer?
Boyer in French.
There you go.
They're like, no, I'm not going to try to replicate.
No, we're like Boyer. Yeah, that's it. Boyer.
Totally fine.
So when I think about Mimi, I think about Happy on Monday. That's the name of, and I want you're the founder of that, but it just really sticks out in my mind because Mondays are, a lot of times you tell us the story. Why Happy on Monday? How about that?
Well, that's an excellent way of describing Mondays. A lot of people dread Mondays, and that's how I was brought up. My family dreaded Mondays, and it was the whole story. It was like, oh my God, we're starting the week again. And it was very low vibration. And it was the same for me when I started my own career. I went all in with sales and marketing, and I grew and I chased the carrots and, climbed those steps of the corporate world and ended up in a place where I thought it was going to be my dream job. And then I was still dreading Mondays. And so I said, that's not the life I want to live. There must be another way. And that was how I had this idea of the name, the brand, but I had no clue what was going to came out of it, as a product or offering or whatever. But it started as events, meetups on Monday mornings in Toronto downtown, motivational events. People were skipping work to come at the events. It was quite fun. Yeah.
Now, I've got a question. So was this something in your mind, Mimi, that you had been thinking about doing? Were you at all thinking about personal development? So to hear you, if I hear you correctly, you were ringing all the bells. You were studying hard. You were driven. You were ambitious. You got the job that you wanted, but then you kind of felt like, wait a minute, is this all?
Exactly. And most people, we either don't know what we want to be happy, but all that we desire in life is fulfillment, happiness, and success in a way.
Yes.
Right. So either we know what we want and we go for it and we chase it, and that's great. Or either we chase it, but then we get there and we're like, Oh,
Good.
actually, that did not provide what I thought it
Yeah.
would provide, you know?
Yeah.
And so that's what happened to me, and multiple times, but that time particularly when I had what I thought the dream job, the dream, everything was great, you know, salary and a car allowance and everything was like on paper looking really shiny and nice, but
Yeah.
then
Yeah. I like it.
how it right but how it
Mm-hmm.
felt inside was quite empty and shallow, and I was like, I don't think this is it. So that's what got me on this personal journey of figuring out, well, like, what is it I stand for, what is my purpose, who do I want to become, like what type of leader I want to be in life. And so it got me on this journey, which I think is a lifelong journey. Like there's no one answer, it's constantly evolving.
Amen.
Right. But it got me on this journey of desiring to build a movement, desiring to be the leader of a movement that changes things for people, that is inspiring, but also getting people into action, into like, how do you create your happy on Mondays life, right? And it's all different for every one of us.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So
I
we've
just
got
added
some
your last
questions.
name too, by the way, just because somebody was asking what's Mimi's last name. So I
Thank
just
you.
I just did that. Just to throw
Thanks so much.
Jenny's on the ball. You see her timing. I mean, what else can you do, Jenny? I mean,
I don't even. I'm telling you, if y'all see me looking down, it's because Mimi. Sometimes he doesn't let me speak, and I have a question mark, and somebody has touched the question mark,
oh
and
no.
there's gonna be. It's not a happy Thursday. That's all I got to say. Oh,
Well,
never mind. I found it.
okay, good.
There you go.
I didn't know how I was going to turn it over to Jenny Winny without the question mark. You got to show the question mark now so we know what it looks like. There it is.
This is it.
Okay.
And so sometimes you'll just see it like this, and that means please.
Okay.
Yeah.
Perfect.
But I have a question before you. I just want to know, like, so what do you do on these Mondays? What do you do?
Okay, so I do still run events, but I also do coaching and programs. So I do a lot of things. But what I do to help people figure out what they want to do on Mondays. So
Mm-hmm.
basically, I help them understand first who they've been in the past. So in order for you to create a new future, you got to make peace with your past, and you got to be willing to look at your shit. Okay, look at what has been going on that was negative in the past that you need to let go and release from in order to move forward into your future. So we start that journey there, and it's not an easy discussion. I work with people who are courageous enough to go there. Okay.
Yeah.
First step is look at the past. Then second step is let's look at how all of this brought you to the present moment to have incredible strengths, incredible what I call superpowers that are like in your toolkit that you carry around on your backpack all the time. And let's like really have a lot of self-compassion and love for ourselves. And then let's define, who do I want to be? What is the movement I'm willing to stand up for?
Oh wow.
What do I want to lead? What's the movement I want to be the leader of?
Yeah.
And that's what most people never ask themselves. They're like, oh, what should I be doing? You know, I have strengths, I have skills.
Yeah.
What should I do as a career? That's like the basic approach. I'm in a sense, I know that we're all leaders, as you said earlier in this
Yeah,
conversation.
Daniel.
We're all leaders, but sometimes we haven't made that connection to like, what is it that I'm willing to lead for?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
So once I help people understand what is their movement, which is like it's often based on your story and your past and what you've been through and some of your upbringing that you want to change, right? You want to change the world in a way.
That programming.
Exactly. So once you connect with that life mission, that purpose, that movement you want to build, however you want to call it, then the last piece is who, not what you need to do, but who do you need to be? What's the identity of the leader of this movement? And how are you going to be that person every day?
Wow.
So that's what I do.
I want to rewind. That's fantastic. I love the self-awareness and digging deep and looking at where these traits and all of the qualities that we possess, where they came from. And you're right, it does take courage to do that. And a lot of that personal development is growing to the point where we're not calling it like it is. Jenny, Winny, and I, it is what it is. And once we can state that.
It is what it is.
Once we can state that, though, that it is, that the truth will set you free. The truth is empowering. So I love that, Mimi. And I want to go back because I think there's so many people. And I do also want to talk about how you had to kind of a rinse and repeat, if you will. So it's not like it's not like we learn these things and we're good for the rest of our life. We learn these things, and as we go on this journey of life, that personal development, it also changes. So how did you get to the point that you are now? I want to go back to the beginning because that's where a lot of people are. They're not happy. They feel like they should be happy. They're not happy.
Yeah, they're not fulfilled.
Yeah. So you started taking action. You started meeting on Mondays there in Montreal. Tell us about those beginning stages and what you were feeling and what kept you engaged with this.
Yeah, so for sure. And I agree with you. These are cycles. So it's not true to say that once you figure it out, you're good for life. Like that would be me saying bullshit. This is not true. You're going to have cycles and your purpose is going to evolve. But at all those moments when you are feeling that unfulfillment, it's like, are you willing to figure out what's that next chapter looking like and what's the purpose you are on for this next chapter? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what got me going really from the beginning. Was I got really clear that this was my purpose. I was like, I don't want, like, it was a bit of like going away from what I've been brought up with. So your motivation is either toward motivated to something you do desire, or away from, right?
Mm-hmm.
Being motivated to go away from something you've experienced.
Yeah.
So for me, it started as an away from motivation. I wanted to not have the same life as my parents had. Like, it's super transparent, but I didn't want to have this history of like every Sunday afternoon being like dreading that the next day is Mondays. And
yeah,
that's ridiculous. So that's what got me like started. And the motivation was like, I feel like I'm like the vehicle for that message. I feel like I need to share this message at large. I feel like I need to like show up for it, for me, but for us, for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So that's what got me going on like, okay, I'm going to do hard things because I need to be that messenger, that leader that says that
I like
message.
that.
So I'm going to have to do hard things, and it's not going to be easy. And it started by tiny things. Like I was attending more events in the city, and I was introducing myself to more people. I was a shy person. Like I was super, super shy. So just that alone was a challenge,
Yes.
And then like we say in Spanish, poco a poco, which means like tiny steps at a time. I introduced myself, then attended more and more events. Then guess what? I started taking part in the pitch at the end of the events, the 30-second pitch on like your elevator,
Yes.
pitch on your brand. So I started presenting in front of like 10, 20, 50, 300 people and just presenting myself. Yeah. And
wow.
So small steps at a time, I did harder things that made me grow and made me also discover what I liked, what I didn't like, and I experimented. And that's how I started my event series, because I was like, I need to speak to people, and I don't know why, but I need to do that. So let me try that. No one's going to give me a stage. I'm going to have to go and create my own stage.
I like it. Yes.
So let's go. Let's create it. Then after those meetups, it was wild. The message resonated with so many people, because Mondays is like this universal thing, right? Universal, like dreading Monday. So people were skipping work. 100 people showed up at the first event. I was unknown. No one knew me. Like I was like a nobody, but I sold my concept by being just so passionate about it, and I was literally saying it to everyone I would meet on the street. Like I was like, it was wild.
You're like, you gotta come.
I think that's what people love about you, though, Mimi, is your passion and energy. And you're like me. You don't want to accept the monotony, the everyday monotony of doing the same. It's like you're giving away 80% of your life to.
Hell no.
You can say that. We used to be a family-friendly show, but not till when Mimi showed up. Okay. It got bad in a hurry. No, you're right. Jenny Winny?
Just saying. Have a question.
Okay.
Okay, and this might not be something that is can be answered directly or whatever, but talking with you, talking with others who are like, oh, I used to dread this, and or if you live for Friday, you're not in the right thing, or if you this or that. Okay, but in my mind, I think, okay, yes, you might know what you want to do, and this is what I want to do, and I want to be the leader of this, but I don't have it. It always goes back to money for me. I don't know. I
Mm.
mean, now that is not, but it does. A lot of people don't have the luxury of just saying, well, I just want to go out and do it when they might be really a great leader of that cause or that movement or whatever.
Yeah, that's a
But,
great
and
question.
I feel bad for saying, money, but that always pops into my, and you, Mimi, are granted the first person I've said this to since we've been talking to people. Cause I'm like, don't you have money? you know?
I I adore this question, and I love it
Do it,
because
Jenny.
I think money is going to come once you're actually being that leader within the container you're currently in. So it doesn't mean that, like, oh, I want to be the founder of a SaaS startup right now. Okay, I don't have the investment. Like, I don't have money to invest and buy a business right now. Of course not. Okay, how can I be with the way I'm leading in my current life, the way I'm taking seriously my habits, the way I lead myself in the morning, waking up, reading a book, meditating, working on myself, improving my skills, starting to learn skills I'm going to need when I am a founder of a SaaS startup, doing free classes online. There's a bunch of classes you can take on Google Ads, whatever. Like,
Yes.
if you're not leading yourself right now in the container you're in and actually going to the border of it, you will never be able to ascend to that next level. And that's
That's
what most
good.
people are not willing to do. They're
Yeah.
sitting there changing nada in their life, and they expect that things will change. No, you gotta really lead yourself in the job you have right now. As a family member of your family, you need to bring everyone up with you. Like, work on yourself and bring people and be that leader right now in your current environment,
Mm-hmm.
and watch as the world rearranges itself to present you that next opportunity that will lead you to the next one, to the next one, to the next one, that then will lead you to being the SaaS founder that you desire to be.
Amen, sister.
That was I got goosebumps. I was like,
Yeah.
yeah, I can
Hey,
do it.
really, I want to say this, thinking about money, when we think of a side hustle, a lot of times this side thing, much like what you're doing right now, Jenny Winnie,
Mm-hmm.
this side hustle is just a way to really sharpen the axe, to get you more comfortable, to grow as a person, to let
Yes.
the confidence go up like Mimi was doing, talking, introducing herself. And
Right.
if we're doing things like that, so there can be a balance there. You don't have to go all in on, like, I think that Mimi's story illustrated this beautifully, right?
Yes.
You don't have to go all in. You can, if you're gaining confidence and becoming more comfortable in your own skin, that's why we can say everyone's great, because when we get rid of those layers, you're just being you. And
Yes.
I mean, and if you've got that kind of freedom, to be yourself and to go out and make things happen, that's a winning combo, isn't it?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and that's the whole principle of, like, embodying the identity right away in small ways, like, not in big ambitious ways, but right now, today, you
Yes.
can be that person who's that next CEO of a SaaS startup, but you got to
Mm-hmm.
start today to lead your life as if you were that CEO right away.
Yes. I love that. All right, question mark. Go ahead.
Sorry, but like, say for the person out there that's like, well, you know what, I've been doing this for 20 years or whatever. Would you ever say, well, yeah, you've waited too long, or you can do it now? Is it too late to start?
Wow. Is it too late to live? Like, what are you waiting for? That would be my question. Like, what is it that makes you so special that you cannot achieve it, but others have? I
Mhm.
love
Oh,
to
and
say that.
yes.
I like that flip. Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it.
And, like, guess what? If there's 1 second left in your life, I think that second is worth the try.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
Absolutely.
there's no time is a construct. Time has been invented by humans to create order, but it creates so much stress and so much anxiety, and so many rules are created about around time. But when you think about it, like an hour of your time when you're working on something that you really love, like, is worth everything. So
Oh,
go for
absolutely.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that just flows nicely into this present moment awareness, right? I tell myself, so all I need to do is win the moment, have a successful present
Yes.
moment. That's all we can do. You know,
Totally.
we want to regret and be guilty about things in the past, or maybe we've got big dreams and we can't wait to get there, but we don't know that we will be there from an existence standpoint, right?
Exactly.
So really making it smaller and just telling myself, what's the next best action? You know,
Yes.
what's the next best thing that I can do right now, but with
Yes.
with things as they are. So
Do
let me.
you cater to a certain like demographic, Mimi, or do you, an
I've
age
worked
group
with
or?
I've worked with people from all ages and groups.
Mhm.
I even volunteer with teenagers right now,
Oh,
applying
that's
my concepts to
I
help
like
them in underdeveloped communities. So I go all the way from like teenagers to like a lot of my clients are women that are in their like 40s,
Mhm.
50s. I do have clients that are in their 60s, and are people who have been successful at whatever level, but they got to a point where they're like,
Just not it.
there's something more for me, but I'm not quite sure how to tackle this new chapter. Whether they're business owners and they have been self-sabotaging their growth in a way, they want to unlock that next level like growth of their business, or just someone in a job or something like that that knows that they've been like playing small, playing
Mhm.
safe. They have so much more in them, and they desire that next phase of their lives to be better
I feel
and
like
different.
Daniel did he give you like a little background of me or something? You're like a business owner in their 40s who is just settled for blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
Like,
Because
yeah.
Daniel's always like, I was like, oh, that's me, because he says, Jenny, you should just do this, and you're right, because you sit there and you settle because you get comfortable, but you still feel like, man, there's something more that I could have, you
yeah,
feel it, but
yeah,
then, yeah, ugh.
Well,
Oof.
something that I've been thinking about. I mean, we're all on this planet. We're trying to have great moments, a great life. It's going to take great moments to have a great life. And I feel like sometimes we're at an amusement park, right? And you've got all of these rides to get uncomfortable on. And of course, you think about the
Mm-hmm.
roller coaster. The first time you get on that roller coaster, you're
Woo.
scared to death. I was hanging on tight.
White
I
knuckling
knew
it.
I did. You worry about all the things that could go wrong. But then what happens after you ride it a few times? Those hands start getting up. You start getting relaxed. You start telling your friends, "Come on, it's fun." You start
It's
talking
fun.
you talk other people into do it, and then you get to a point where you say, "Oh no, now we need a bigger, faster, scarier roller coaster." And
correct.
and when we are living our life in a way of, "Hey, this is an amusement park. I don't have to pay $20 for a hot dog." Right? I can go out here. I can challenge myself. I can have fun, and we can look at personal growth as just something to make life exciting, something to get the heart rate up, and that
Yep.
growth just in and of itself. We don't, very well. I'm gonna die the average dude. That's okay. I'm gonna have fun until I get there, right? I mean, I'm gonna enjoy everything, have a good time, enjoy moments, make magical
That's
moments.
yes, making that's what I told Daniel. Like, this is silly, Mimi. You've probably heard us talking earlier, but like, we went to a haunted house recently that we went to when we were,
30
I was
years
six.
ago.
Yeah, we were, yeah. And so anyway, but we were like, oh, this is so fun, and this bunch of young kids. But I'm like, we're making a memory. You know what I mean? It's like we're living this moment right now, just making a memory. Now, Daniel, he was able to apply it into one of his speeches, and that was good. But I was just there for the memory.
Yeah, but it's a memory for you too. And sometimes maybe I'd like for you to speak on that. I'm speaking too much. What would you like? What do you say about making memories and that sort of
Yeah.
thing?
Well, the thing is with the comfort zone, like although you are living, you can be living in the moment in the comfort zone, but you're
Yeah.
not like creating new skills, new experiences, and you're not what I call developing your inner power.
Uh-huh.
So when you are trying new things and you are building new memories, it's super uncomfortable. Like it's so annoyingly uncomfortable
Yeah.
to do the first things, you know, like that roller coaster ride, for instance.
Yes.
But as soon as you do it, and sometimes it is painful and difficult, and you're gonna fail and fuck up, and all of that will happen. But in those moments, there's something inside of you that grows. And that's what I call my inner power. You can have another name if you
Uh-huh.
want. But this inner power is this deep down knowing that no matter what, I have my own back. And
Yeah.
no matter what, I'm totally able to figure out anything. Like it's always going to be fine. I'll figure out a way. I have my own back no matter what. That strength and that like grit and resiliency that you can build within, I think this is what actually life is all about. That is
Mm-hmm.
how you become who you desire to become, and you create new memories, and of course like
Oh
are
yeah.
out of your comfort zone. So
Dude, I've never, it's like going, has anybody ever been to the gym and regretted going after you go? I mean,
Mm-mm.
it's the right thing to do. And if we're doing something, regardless of how intimidated, scared, small, weak, any of these things that we may feel when we're doing something for the first time or something
yeah.
around people that are much more advanced or whatever the case might be, we're winning. Even if we lose, we're winning.
Yeah.
You know?
But and that's the thing though. So a lot of us will force ourselves
Mm-hmm.
to go to the gym or to do that new thing, that new
Yes.
habit, that new shiny habit that everyone's raving about. We're going to force ourselves with a lot of resistance to do the thing and to put an alarm and to go to the gym and all that.
Yeah.
But that is actually trying to change a behavior without changing the identity. And here's why I really love working with clients
Mm-hmm.
on identity and subconscious is that if you believe deep down that you are this healthy person, then having that new behavior is like effortless. So
Yeah.
if
Right.
you are trying to public speak and you've never public speak before, and you don't see yourself as someone who can speak because you think of yourself as a shy person that never raises their hand in a meeting and is like keeping quiet for themselves, then that's the identity you're going to fulfill. That's the story that's playing on your mind on repeat. But if you're able, with all my crazy tools, to rewire how you think of yourself, what is
Mm-hmm.
your self image, your identity, and you align this identity with who you desire to become, then all of those behaviors, they become effortless. It's like going on that roller coaster is like, yeah, of course, because I'm that
I mean,
person, of course
that's
I'm
what I
going.
do.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
That's
like, you
like,
know,
of
if you
course.
say that I work out and I'm healthy, then it's not any big deal because that's what you do.
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
like it's second
And
nature.
yes,
I
and I
think
have a
about, go
perfect
ahead.
example. Sorry. I have a
No,
perfect
no, no,
example
it's
for you
good.
to better understand. You know how um people who win the lottery all of a sudden, right? They were really poor, let's say, and they win like millions of
Yes.
dollars.
Yeah.
Yes.
How many stories have we heard that like within a year they have nothing left?
Yep.
It's because their identity is not one of a wealthy person, and
Mhm.
they
Mm-hmm.
fulfill that identity of a I don't have money, right? So they fulfill that by spending ridiculously on buying really stupid things, not investing, not saving, not building assets, none of this, because they don't believe they are that person. And
Ah,
so automatically they revert to these habits and they lose everything within a year. It's the
Ooh. Yeah.
same applies with weight loss. If you think of yourself as someone who loves potato chips and hamburgers, and you love watching TV and that's who you are, then of course you're going to fulfill that, and of course you're going to gain back the weight. This is just
Yeah. It's like
yeah.
self-fulfilled prophecy. I mean, you think that's what you are, so that's what you're going to do. I
I
mean,
really
that
like
makes
that.
sense.
Yeah,
Exactly.
changing that identity and becoming someone new, not just doing new things, becoming someone new. You know,
Correct.
I'm thinking about Tom Hanks. This was mentioned at the communication boot camp that
Mm.
Tom Hanks, when he played Forrest Gump, he wasn't,
Yes.
he owned that, he became Forrest Gump in everything that he did.
Yeah.
And any of these actors or actresses that really get into that role, they start getting in too deep sometimes, don't they? Because they become that person.
Yeah, and you
Yes.
know what, Daniel? That was good because when they showed us the picture, it was a picture from the movie, and he said, "Who is this?" And we were all like, "Forrest Gump, Forrest Gump." But really, nobody said Tom Hanks
Mm,
because he had identified so well with that that's the first thing that popped into our minds.
That's right.
totally.
You know,
So,
go ahead, Mimi. Sorry.
so what would happen if, Jenny, I don't know what, we haven't had that conversation yet, but
Yeah,
whatever your,
we need to talk, Mimi. We need to
right?
talk.
Whatever your goals are, whoever like you desire to become, what would happen if you started really believing that you are that person? Like, how differently would you act? How
Yeah.
differently would you show up in the world? What habits would you have that would be different?
Yeah,
What decisions would you make that would be completely different? You see what I mean? Like, it
Yeah,
would
yes,
change. It would start attracting the results way quicker than how you're currently operating,
that's right.
because you're operating with the system that got you the results you have today.
And so, why would I expect any different results if you do the same thing? That's insanity.
and I have, when you say, well, I thought we were supposed to be authentic. Number one, there's always this kind of other side to everything. But what I would say about being authentic, Tom Hanks, the script writer, they gave him the script. This is the idea for the character, but then Tom Hanks puts his own personality into the character.
Mm-hmm.
I
Mm-hmm.
think I think in this way we can build that avatar of who we want to be and put our
Yes.
spin on what do I look like playing this role of this person.
And what if
Mm.
authenticity is not just the person you are today, but it's also like who you're creating intentionally
Mm-hmm.
as yourself? You can be authentic while wanting to change and evolve and grow.
Yeah,
You don't need to stay as you are today. Like, that's nonsense. We're all changing all the time. So you can be authentic to your desires and your
Mm-hmm.
needs and who you want to become. While you're on your way there, you can stay true to yourself as you evolve and grow.
absolutely. I love that because a lot of these we think of being authentic as being what we've been, but if you've been the things that you're not happy with, that's not who you are. You got to change the habit of being yourself sometimes.
Yes,
So
Exactly.
that's
this has been like I'm like we're just going to need to shut the show down so I can have a private little Mimi session.
so that's what you do, don't you, Mimi? You work with teams and individuals to help them make progress. Tell us about some of the folks that you've worked with that have been really people that have inspired you, maybe, or that saw a lot of progress. Tell us
Yeah,
about.
or their journey was like so
Totally. I have
transformation.
Wow, I have so many examples, but I want to talk about Adam because Adam might be watching this too. He's really active on LinkedIn. So Adam came to me. He's a business owner. He had an accounting firm that he built from the scratch for like 5 years, super successful. He had like, I think like hundreds of clients. He was hustling, working hard, making a great living, but he was unfulfilled. And he was like, I built all of this. I was like the creator of this, but I'm no longer like excited on Mondays to operate the business. I'm no longer excited to go through my day to day. What needs to shift? I need to understand, right? So we worked together, and he wanted to obviously grow his business, his revenue, all that, but he knew something was not quite it. So we worked together, and we understood that from the 100% of things he was doing, there was actually this 20% of his task that he actually really enjoyed and that he was really a master at, and that
Mm-hmm.
added the most value to his clients. So we decided, guess what? What would happen if you only focused on being that 20% master of your craft on this thing you love? So he ended up selling his business for multiple six figures, having like time to reflect on what he wanted to do next. Then he built a business on that 20%. He's a fractional CFO. He advises company on like strategic financial moves. And he's like amazing at that. And he loves that. And he now have like, I think he said the ROI of working together over the last year was like 100x ROI because of revenue, but also selling his business. And not only that, the thing that excites me the most, he attracted the love of his life, and he got married to his like best friend and sweetheart this summer in July. And he was able to be that magnet for love and wealth and all these things because he made that work on himself, because he decided that he was worthy of changing and letting go of the past, even though it served him, but it wasn't what was going to take him to that next level, right? So he lost weight, attracted love, of course, wealth, money, but all of these things like that just makes
Hey, Mimi, I'll have what he's having.
Right?
Give me one of those.
Yeah,
That is awesome, though, and we're all on these journeys, and we have this ebb and flow where things are going great. It's like, man, I've got it. I'm happy. I'm content. Life is good. We wake up the next day, and what happened? You know, we hit a wall. We get in these points where we're not as happy. We're not as excited. What do we do when we have those sorts of times?
Yeah. So there's cycles, right? So we gotta just ask ourselves, can I recall a moment when things were really aligned and great and I was feeling unstoppable and energized? Yes. Okay. If I go back to that moment, what was present that is currently missing? And what was missing that's currently present?
Yeah.
You write that down, or you make note of that, and you ask yourself what needs to shift. And you can make tiny shifts that have a big impact, or it could be bigger conversations and bigger things that needs to happen. But sometimes it's tiny things that you can just like tweak, just like a TV nod.
I like that. And one thing that I have to tell myself, sometimes the environment changes, things change in our life. And so it doesn't mean that anything is broken with us or that we're on the right. Sometimes it's just, you know, I look at when I have those feelings, that's like a warning system or a system to tell me that I need to make a move of some sort, do something different, you know, in lieu of, you know, I'm the positive high energy guy. So when I'm down, I'm like, oh no, that's the only thing I've got.
Yeah. Me too. And people say, what's wrong? And you're like, I'm just having that day.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like in my spiritual side, oh God, someone is asking about law of attraction, but my spiritual side thinks that this is just like your soul giving you like a signal that something needs to change for you to find back alignment and really fulfill your soul's mission on earth, you know? So there's nothing wrong with having to change or tweak certain things, and it's beautiful signals that you're having if you're not feeling fully yourself.
You got to listen to them, though.
Great questions. Mimi, what are your thoughts on the law of attraction?
Well, I believe that we're all energetic beings, right? And we all have our highest frequency and our lowest frequency. There's days when we're not feeling our best, and that's okay. But I believe that the more we can make changes that are making us feel really in alignment with ourselves, the more we are vibing high, or like we are feeling our best, and we are emitting energy that's really attractive and magnetic. And you know how sometimes you go into a room with a lot of people and there's someone that comes in and you're like, wow, there's something about this woman or this man, like, wow, there's or this person that's kind of like, I want to go and talk to that person. I don't know why, but right. So that is what I feel is the law of attraction, is when you are really on your X or in alignment, and your environment, your circumstances, your identity, everything is aligned. You're like vibrating at a higher frequency, and this is really attractive for everything, for love, for wealth, for opportunities, for connections, for networking, for everything. So that's my
Hey, I say this sometimes, we talk about chasing something, chasing a relationship, chasing success, but really what it is attracting. And the
You
only
want to
way
pull it in.
yeah, and you become who it is that you see in the future, much going back to our earlier discussion, you become that person. And so that attracts. Jenny?
I'm dying right now because I had one of those moments where the prop playing something you said, Mimi, that was a realization. You're going to go, wow, she really, truly is stupid. But I've always said like good vibes or bad. And then when you said vibrations, it hit me. I was like, that vibe. I don't know why I never even thought about vibrations.
But like we are all vibrating, like our cells are vibrating. Like this
Yeah,
is
that's what my face
science.
went. Oh,
This is science. Like I'm not inventing this. Like this
I
is
know.
science. We're all vibrating. And so like it's just actually I need to recommend a book. It's not this one, but it's the same author. So David R. Hawkins. His
Okay.
book is called not this one, but The Power versus Force. Okay. Power
Okay.
versus Force. And he explains the spectrum of emotions and the level of frequency of each one of these emotions. And so the lowest vibrations are obviously anger, fear, sadness, all that. And then the highest ones are like consciousness and like joy and like the obvious emotions. But I love how he talks about the power versus force principle. Like a lot of us humans are forcing so many things in our lives. We're like, I need to chase, I need to force, I need to get this. And instead of being more in flow and in the power seat of our lives, in the power seat would mean being aware of what's like naturally the natural cycles of things, the natural like next step, and not trying to force it, but really aligning ourselves to that frequency with higher vibration emotions. And then looking at being aware at wow, things are just happening and being brought to my attention in the right timing with the right people, and just acting out of alignment and in a powerful way instead of a forceful way. It's honestly amazing.
I knew Daniel. That's you, Daniel. I mean, really.
And alignment. Well, I'll have to say, I'm sitting here. Mimi's describing Daniel Allison. You're right. There's a flow and alignment, and I subscribe totally to that. And I want to talk briefly about that ideal state. So sometimes, just to kind of give an example, if I'm out making sales calls and maybe I'll get rejected or somebody makes me feel small, you kind of say, oh, I'm going to show them. And then I look at got this stern look on my face. I'm like, you're not winning. If you've got this stern look, I know that my personality, no matter whatever happens in the future, if I'm not smiling, I'm not winning. I mean,
totally.
So I've got to be happy. The only way to put out this fire is with positivity, right? I mean, ultimately, I want to find, if I'm ever sitting trying to be cool, sitting eating, come on. You got to be attracting by being joyful and happy to be there, humble, being your best and not dimming your light, but also just, I don't know. I think it's important to really see that ideal state so you're intentional about what is actually winning. Yeah. Letting go. I saw that book, Mimi.
He was like,
that too, right? Because if you start putting meaning on what others are doing, meaning about you, you're bound to fail. Like if you're starting to think that if someone doesn't buy from you, you're on a sales call and they reject you, or you apply for a job and they reject you. If you start making all of these things having a meaning on who you are and your self-worth, like you're just losing. So you gotta let go. You gotta let go, and you gotta just like surrender and really be in your best energy and focus on your own alignment and your own belief in yourself. And that's it. That's all that matters.
And I love that. Let me ask you this. What do you think of that book, Let Go? I love that idea of letting go because I think that's the answer so many times.
Yeah, it's an amazing book. I recommend it to everyone. Like all my clients, I send them copies of that because I really believe it's the key to everything. So the same author, you got to
David Hawkins.
They're hard. they're hard to read. Like this is like real shit. Like it's no joke. But if you're willing to dive into it and like read it like slowly, like it's incredibly like it's incredible. If you can start living in alignment, it's wild. It's really amazing.
I like it. Let's see what Joe has to say here. Force can bring satisfaction, but only power brings joy. Victory over others brings us satisfaction, but victory over ourselves brings joy.
Oh,
I like that.
That's from that book.
You know, and going back to something we talked about that Mimi mentioned in the beginning, it's not self-awareness is not an easy deal.
No.
Nope.
But the clarity on those things, you know, I think the most impactful type of self-awareness epiphanies that we can have are the ones that are hard to accept. But we know that if we accept those, that we are growing. I mean, it's so many times I'll think, man, is that true about me? Well, I guess it is, and I have to write it down. But once you do that, you own it instead of it owning you. So,
Correct. And you're willing to work on you and let your ego aside and have emotional intelligence to deal with your own self and then become a better human around everyone around you. So
I love it.
Yes.
Amy, so this has been a great conversation. I've really I want to hear more about what do you have planned? What are you excited about? Tell us where you are in your journey today and what you think might be coming.
I'm really excited because I'm testing a model of creating a new sense of self, you know, that identity piece that I was talking to you all about over the last hour.
Yes.
And I'm testing this model both with grown-ups, so adults that are in leadership position and entrepreneurs, but I'm also testing this model with teenagers in underdeveloped communities that don't have a sense of self and therefore they fall into the narco industry. So I want to test this model to help turn those numbers around and have less and less teens inside of these damaged environments, you know. And so I work with the subconscious and I work with the conscious mind, both in creating a better future for individuals, whether again adults or teens, and that's what I'm really excited about.
That sounds exciting.
It does.
Let me ask you this: do you like working with folks in person, or would you rather do it virtually? What's your favorite way to engage with someone?
I only work in virtual right now. Although I do enjoy in person. I used to do a lot of in-person events and stuff. I still do some here in Costa Rica, but I love in person, obviously. But the most frequent is online, but both are awesome. So
yeah. I mean, at the end of the day, I think that virtual has become, I mean, you really get the vibe of, I mean, I feel like I'm talking with Mimi, I feel like we're right here having coffee. So,
exactly. And it opens the door to talk with so many more people.
Right. Totally. You know, and I just think it's awesome. Like I say, I've known Mimi through LinkedIn. You know, it's funny how you feel like you know someone. We haven't engaged at all, but I've seen her content. I said, oh, she's Monday, and always appreciate her post. And so being able to come together and share our stories, and that's why I love doing this, you know?
Oh, yeah. Here's the magic is we don't know each other, but I feel like I know both of you because we're sharing energy right now. Like we're all like the way you communicate either online or offline, we can share the same vibration, right? That high vibe energy. And that creates a sense of liking, a sense of connection. And so it's awesome that we now have the technology to do so remotely, but never forget the power of working on your energy. Even if you're not in a room, you are in a room. The world is a room. You are in a room with these people as well. Yeah. So it's awesome to have met you, both of you today.
Oh, yes.
So grateful.
It's our privilege.
I'm going to give JP, Jonathan Peoples, I'm going to give him the last question, and we're going to let it close out after this. Is Mimi in Costa Rica, Toronto, or Montreal?
All of the above. No. Today, I'm in Costa Rica. Next week, I'm in Montreal. Sometimes I visit Toronto, but I'm from Montreal, Canada, but I do live officially in Costa Rica, although I travel all the time.
Wow.
Fantastic. Well,
amazing.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
You.
I loved
awesome.
it. Yes.
Go out, have a good vibe, connect with people.
Good vibration. Yeah.
Be intentional about it. And hey, appreciate everybody. Have a great week.
Yes.
See ya.
Everyone.
See ya.
Bye-bye. Thank you.